Welcome back, Thrivers, to another episode of the Thriving Equine Professional. I am on my own today for our monthly solo episode, and today I am going to answer a couple of questions, but I am going to talk about soft skills. I'm going to talk about why Jodi is critical of academia. I've been asked that question so much recently, and why I think it's really important to acknowledge soft skills and take the stigma away from soft skills versus hard skills. And we might even talk about it a little bit from a generational perspective. So buckle up and let's talk about what I think the top 3 most important soft skills are and why we as individuals, especially if we are early in our career, wanting to grow in our career, or in any way influencing the student to professional transition for young people interested in industry careers. So let's dig in. Jodi, why are you critical of higher education? I am critical of higher education because we are teaching to a test. And this point was really proven to me as I took on the role this past semester of teaching at the undergraduate level and teaching an ag sales class. This was a 300 level class. These were all juniors and seniors. There are skills that once you are in industry, we expect you to have when you come out of a college education. And oftentimes those are skills now that we really expect, and there is a preference towards what we might call farm kids, 4-H kids, FFA kids. And so I'm going to start there in that the reason that those young people tend to have skills that are preferred to kids that have not gone through those kinds of programs like 4-H FFA or grown up on a farm or a ranch is because they have the soft skills that we are looking for. In academia, we are not teaching them. Like, why aren't we really looking at life skills as a critical part of higher education? We don't need to be teaching to a test. It is not memorization and regurgitation of information. Our students need support, mentorship, championing of learning how to, number 1, communicate, number 2, work as a team and collaborate, and number 3, problem solve. So that's a short list of my top 3 soft skills that I believe we have got to focus on, whether we are influencing young people, influencing people that are about to start careers in the industry, or whether it's ourselves moving through the industry. There is never a time that it is not right to be developing our own soft skills. So why is it so hard to incorporate that into our own learning and development? Or even as an organization, if you are involved in training a team, managing a team, this is critical. This is critical time on your calendar that has to be scheduled in. We are so quick to spend time, money, energy, and resources on what we call hard skills, what I call those technical skills and clinical skills that are absolutely essential to the function of our jobs. But there's a big but there. How can we be relevant? How can we be applicable? And how can we be productive with those clinical and technical skills if we do not have the foundation that is communication and collaboration? If we are unable to work with people, whether that's colleagues and coworkers, or whether that's our managers, whether that's clients and customers, whomever it is, it doesn't matter what role we have got to really start to focus on collaboration and communication as the foundation of our success, not an add-on if we have time. Every one of our classes that we take in an undergraduate program, or every single time we have the opportunity to build a training program for students or professionals, we should be primarily focused on soft skills. And so when we look at those, communication, for example, that's verbal, it's nonverbal. The number 1 ingredient to communication, in my opinion, is listening. You all have heard me talk about listening time and again. If you are not working on your own listening skills, you should be, right? Some of us were born not good listeners, others were born better listeners, but that certainly is an opportunity for us to continue to evolve and become better humans, if you will, is working on our listening skills. According to Stephen Covey, there are 5 levels of listening. The goal is to achieve empathetic listening. And I work on it almost every day. I won't say that I'm great at it, but that is something that for my entire career, I have really focused on. And so really being able to communicate with empathy, to listen to others so that they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel understood. We as a society are really not in that mode. We are in the mode of go fast, do more, accomplish more, all of these things. And we have to be able to slow down and be present with the people with whom we are sharing our time. And that starts with really focusing on our listening skills. So communication is verbal and nonverbal. Bottom line, we should all be working on this and be very consciously aware of our communication skills. From an academia perspective, we're sitting in the classroom. There are so many students now that are like, oh, I don't have to go to that class. I can do it online. Fail. That is a fail of our education system. If they are on campus, get them to class. We should be collaborating. We should be seeing one another eye to eye. We should be shaking hands, making eye contact, communicating in the classroom, in person, live. That is what is really missing today. So I will absolutely get on that soapbox. There are students, I just talked to one last week. She has 4 classes for the upcoming semester, and she's only going to have to go to one of them. She's on campus. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. We have got to help this generation who has already spent far too much time in a virtual environment show up and be present and interact with people who are ahead of them in age and experience. That is the only way that we are going to effectively begin to teach greater communication skills so that they can be successful, confident, competent young professionals. So we've got to continue to move from virtual to in person. And then when we talk about teamwork, wow, these students have, many of them, been part of teams, but are we truly teaching collaboration? And I'm going to take it one step farther. Are we teaching collaboration over judgment? Are we acknowledging that we are naturally judgmental? And so that not only comes naturally to us, but we are seeing it so much more from a media and social media perspective that it becomes okay, even from the adults around us, where we are pretty quick to judge what somebody looks like, what they're eating, how they walk, what they're doing with their life, all of the judgments that we are quick to place. Or are we encouraging collaboration? Because when we talk about teamwork, the skills that have got to present are problem solving. Are we learning how to problem solve? If I think about a college experience and making that student to professional transition, that would include not only my in-classroom, but also jobs, internships, that entire experience is setting us up for the success of the rest of our lives and our careers. If we are not put in a situation where we are on a team, working with others, learning how to listen, which we already talked about, learning how to observe and how to be respectful in our communication with the people we are working with and for. What about learning how to be dependable to others? Learning how to negotiate when we think something is right or we believe strongly in something. Are we willing to listen and negotiate? Those are all things that are part of teamwork. I think back to internship opportunities. I interned with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association in Denver, Colorado. I'll never forget that experience. Renee Lloyd, still to this day, huge respect for her, and put together Cattlemen's Convention. I was involved in FFA in high school and had to problem solve my way through a number of competitions, from nursery landscape to horse judging, all of those kinds of things, from teamwork and being on teams, having to work with people who are our peers, working with people who are younger than us, working with people who are older than we are, working for other people. So teamwork is really not being addressed in a professional setting to the depth that I believe that it should be. And so, for instance, having those assignments where students have to present in class as a team, many of them are critical of that. They don't want to do it. So whether it's a partnership or whether it's a larger group, we have to be coaching them to work better in teams. How are you working together and collaborating and communicating and getting together outside of class time in order to accomplish the goals or objectives of a particular assignment or opportunity, and then coming together in class in front of your peers in order to present that and work as part of a team. So those are the kinds of experiences and assignments that are what we might call stretch opportunities. But at the same time, those stretch opportunities are what is going to bring us life skills. They are going to enable us to be successful and resilient in a dynamic, fast-moving industry role that we move into as young adults. So number two, teamwork, and they all tie into each other, right? We talked about communication in talking about teamwork. Number three for me after teamwork is problem solving. Talked a lot about that in regard to teamwork, but when we talk individually about problem solving, that's where we have to learn how to critically think. We have to learn how to brainstorm and come up with ideas and make decisions. We are faced with a challenge or a problem, and we need to be able to, with some sense of confidence and poise, think through the opportunities that we have, the resources that we might need, and the connections that are going to help us get from the problem itself to a potential resolution. And as we move through opportunities like that, we gain confidence, right? You've heard me say, doing hard things makes life richer. Doing hard things makes life simpler oftentimes. And so when it comes down to problem solving, we can't solve problems for other people because then they don't learn how to solve problems. And so knowing that one of the challenges that we have as Gen Z comes up into the workplace and really is poised to take over the majority of the workforce in the next 3 to 4 years, that we know that many of them have not been given the opportunity to really learn how to problem solve through life. And we want to create some of those opportunities. It is not our job as leaders, managers, as educators to make life easy for them and take away problems. It is our job to give them the resources, give them access to the resources, and coach confidence, champion them, allow them to think and learn and fail. And those are the ways that we will begin to really build character and confidence for this next generation of excellence as employees, professionals, colleagues, managers, etc. So that's a quick rundown of why I think those are the top 3 most important soft skills and why we really need to focus on them, not as a secondary nice to have if we have time, but as a primary part of our own individual development. That's our own responsibility, as well as our organizational learning and development. As a team, how are we developing our people and how are we developing our young people? And so again, going back simply to the experience of teaching that ag sales class, what were the 3 major assignments that I felt like our students needed? Number 1, LinkedIn. And so they had to complete their LinkedIn profile and build that. And while they were doing that, complete 10 objectives that made their LinkedIn profile robust. And so that's where we started. And that is really setting our students up to begin to network and begin to look at the broader picture of industry professional career opportunities. If you want a job in industry, you need to be on LinkedIn, period. We should not be waiting until our junior and senior year of college to create a LinkedIn account. That should be being done our freshman year without question, if it's not already. Any high schooler I speak to, I encourage them to go ahead and get started with LinkedIn. So that's number one. Number two for me was a sales ride along. Yes, it was a sales class, but I don't want you to focus on the sales part. I want you to focus on my objective there was that they find and identify a professional in the industry who was at least 5 to 10 years ahead of them, doing something they were interested in doing. Couldn't be someone they were related to or knew well. And that assignment had a list of objectives and outcomes that they had to spend a minimum of 3 hours up to a full day in the field with that professional, learning about their career journey, their day-to-day responsibilities, and what they loved most about their role, what advice they would give that young person as they are facing a student to professional transition. It was a huge stretch assignment for many of those students. And I have to say, 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been a stretch assignment for me, given the high school experiences I had with FFA. And so I want to make sure that our students and young people are poised to reach out to professionals, to adults that they don't know, and begin learning more about their opportunities, the resources available to them, and building a network of connections that are going to help bring them value and that they in turn can bring value to moving forward. And so that was number 2 assignment. And number 3 was a sales presentation in class. And some of them could do that individually, or they could do that in partnership. They had to identify a product and create an entire sales presentation and proposal and move through the sales process in front of the rest of their class. The rest of the class then becomes the customer, and they are part of the evaluation, rating, and grading of that sales presentation. So those are examples of the 3 major assignments that I provided to a group of college, undergraduate students that are juniors and seniors. And so many of them had not done those types of assignments before. And quite frankly, at the end of it, they all came back and said, out of 26 students, I had an 88% rate the class as a 5 out of 5. Many of them said that this was a stretch and that they had a hard time being brave, and that some of these assignments, they had to be courageous. I was very involved. I was very supportive. I am saying that we need to continue to champion our young people. That is my goal, and my objective is to help give them greater clarity, greater confidence, and greater connections. And that really is why I wanted to pop on and talk about these soft skills. We have to talk about them. We can continue to go get all the training in the world on technical, clinical skills, academic knowledge, all of those things. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about creating human beings that are living more inspired, more fulfilled, and more empowered. And in order to do so, we have to start building confidence in soft skills like communication, teamwork, and problem solving. So that's my TED Talk for today, if you will. And again, just happy summer to all of my Thrivers, everyone that is listening. And if you are interested, I've got some group coaching coming up this fall, as well as booking speaking. That has been going really great. So if you are looking for a speaker or a facilitator for your group, whether that is college or organizational, and you are ready to focus on really taking soft skills and communication to the next level, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we will see how we can best work together. So with that, Thrivers, have an amazing day, and I will see you back here same time next week for another guest episode on the Thriving Equine Professional. Cheers.